Dear friends, fans and supporters, asking you for help in this way is an extreme measure, but I'm also in an extreme situation. I'm uncomfortable doing this, but I have been advised repeatedly that I definitely should do it. Before I get to the core of the issue, let me introduce myself to you from a perspective most of you may not know. All of my life, I have been involved in athletic activities. When I went to university at age 18, I started riding a bicycle regularly. Over the years, this has turned into a passion. To this day, it is my main athletic activity. This photo, by the way, was taken in the winter of 2002-2003 at the lakefront in Chicago by my dear friend, the late Dr. Frederick Tobin. I'll get back to Dr. Tobin in a minute. In later years, I added other types of sports such as badminton, rowing, working out in a gym, and swimming. Between late 2005 and mid-2009, when I had access neither to a gym nor to the outdoors, I developed a strict routine of exercising using only my body as weight. When a free man once more, I kept doing these body weight exercises and combined them with regular cycling and swimming, all of it preferably in nature rather than in concrete cages with hamster wheel setups, which humans call gyms. When my family and I moved to rural Pennsylvania in 2012, I upheld that routine. During the warm season, I get on my bicycle, ride some 10 miles on country roads to the Susquehanna River, where a small park gives me the space and a few monkey bars on a playset to do my bodyweight exercises. After a set of a dozen of these exercises, interspersed with a variety of different plank exercises, I swim in the river, something between half and a full mile, depending on the conditions. After that, I get back on my bicycle and come home. And now a quote from Dr. Tobin, who has lived with me for a while in 2002-2003 and has first-hand experience of my workout schedule as it existed back then. He wrote in an email of July 11, 2019, quote, "As far as I am concerned, Germar's behavior is beyond reproach. I say this because I have known Germar since 1997 and regard him to be exemplary in his behavior, admiration for his fitness schedule and work ethic. Typical Teutonic mindset that shies away from sophistry and kitsch." Unquote. But what made him write this email? Well, let's dive into the problem I encountered in the wee hours of July 2nd, 2019. For this, I swapped the previous image with one that is now a court document, Defense Exhibit Number 1. It is the same area, but with a few lines and markings added. The colored lines were edited by me using Photoshop prior to this document being submitted to the court. We'll ignore them here. The only thing of interest here are two small black crosses added. They were added by Police Officer Benjamin Wind of the Lower Windsor Police Department, who was patrolling the area during that morning. He reported that, when he arrived in the area on 4:06 a.m. in the morning that day, he saw me standing near the side of the road facing him, wearing only a yellow sleeveless shirt and naked from the waist down. When asked to mark where he was when he saw me first, he put a cross with a black ballpoint pen on this spot on Fishing Creek Road. He said that this is where he came to a stop with his car. A while later, during cross-examination, he confirmed that this is where his car stood the entire time during this encounter. When asked to make a mark on the image where he saw me standing, he drew another X a little off the road at the corner of the mulched playset area. After he came to a standstill at his marked position, when he was turning on his spotlight, he claimed that I turned around and subsequently ran toward the playset and from there toward a large tree behind whose trunk I then tried to hide. When asked, he confirmed that he means the large tree whose canopy of whitish branches can be seen here and whose trunk is roughly where I put the brown dot on this image. Now, the playset is pretty tall. It is way taller than I am, and when standing behind it, in particular during the night, you would not be able to see me from the road. Here's a drive-by video I took today, July 18th, 2020. This footage starts at a point on Fishing Creek Road, coming from the north, where the playset starts to emerge from behind a little maple tree on the left. On the satellite image, this is the tree I've colored green here and surrounded it with a yellow loop. As we progress driving down Fishing Creek Road, you can see that the tree trunk of the large tree behind the playset is hidden from view all the way until finally it emerges from behind the playset when we have traveled way down the road. Now I turn around and see where the position actually is. I'm here, and it's where the other branch of Fishing Creek Road merges with the one I am on. On the satellite image, I can show it here. That's roughly the area where I come to a standstill here. Then I go in reverse and back up a little bit to see where exactly the spot is when the T-trunk starts emerging from behind the playset. And that's exactly where the two Fishing Creek branches merge. Let me use the satellite image to explain a little further. From where the police officer said he stopped his car and saw me standing to the left, the entire width of the tree's lower part was invisible, hidden behind the playset, here marked by the yellow, semi-transparent, truncated cone. The question therefore arises, how could he have seen me run from the playset to the tree and hide behind its trunk if he could not possibly have seen that from where he claims to have been? In other words, his testimony describes something that was physically impossible. 11 months later, during the court hearing on July 6, 2020, he changed his testimony, thus undermining his credibility even more, evidently because by then the prosecution had realized that what he had described in August 2019 is physically impossible. Yet instead of telling the truth, he stuck to his old narrative and merely added components to make it sound more credible. And I got convicted for it because the jury believed him and not me, and because my defense lawyer threw me under the bus by basically refusing to defend me. I will not go into details of that here, because this is not about my defense lawyer. Now let me get back to the police officer's claims. Fact is that I never stood anywhere near the spot he put me. Fact is that I never faced him when he put a spotlight on me. I was actually facing the other way, walking near the large tree toward the river. And fact is that I was not naked from the waist down when this happened. I wore a set of camouflage patterned split running shorts, which he may have missed or intentionally ignored. I won't explain my fashion choices here. Fact is that wearing shorts like this isn't illegal, so nothing of what happened subsequently should have happened. Fact is also that Officer Wind completely lost track of where I was once I had stepped out of the light cone of his spotlight into the darkness, and that he realized where I actually was, way down south at the riverbank, only when I came up to him, not naked, and tried to clarify the situation for an obviously confused and mistaken police officer. There's much more to the case, but I want to cut to the chase here. If you're interested in more details, I'm actually in the process of publishing a book with all the details of the case, including reproductions of the trial transcripts, so you don't have to take my word for it. It's titled Moral Turpitude, because that's the kind of offense I was found guilty of. You can find the link to it below. On July 7, 2020, I was sentenced for alleged indecent exposure, which in Pennsylvania is a Class 2 misdemeanor punishable with up to 2 years. And I was put on a sex offender list, although my claimed act neither created a victim nor any damage. The prosecution's reasoning behind is that, according to them, I had intentionally positioned myself at the side of the road, advertising my manhood to the world for everyone driving by, using my blazing neon green tank top as an arrow pointing to my genitals. I did so allegedly because I saw a car approaching for quite a while. And I didn't run away even when I must have noticed that the car approaching was a police car. According to the police officer's court testimony, once his spotlight was on me, I still didn't turn all the way around and tried to disappear into the darkness. No, I allegedly turned 90 degrees south in the direction the police car was headed and ran parallel to the road so the police could, and allegedly did, follow me and keep admiring my manhood, front, side and back. That is the second changed version of his testimony, because he had to come up with some fairy tale on how he got to the spot where he could see me disappear behind the tree. Now, consider what is being implied here. I do not doubt that there are deranged people who are extremely eager to expose themselves that way. I do not doubt that maybe some of them are insane enough to keep doing it even after realizing it's the police they are facing. But why in the world would any such desperate person choose to do this at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in the darkness of night when there is basically no chance of encountering anyone, meaning that their assumed desire to expose themselves has a very slim chance of succeeding?
No, there is no person on this planet who would do all that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's idiotic from A to Z. Yet still, they convinced the jury that this is what happened.
Now, what does all that mean? In this country, I'm a first-time offender, which means I just got sentenced to 2 years on probation. And if I behave myself and have paid everything, the court costs and therapy costs which I have to take, after just 1 year, the rest will be waived, which I assume is going to happen. Now, I'm not a citizen of this country, I'm an immigrant, and as such, if you are sentenced to an offense like that, it can become tricky as to whether I can remain in the country or will be removed. And it is my understanding right now that I'm not in acute danger of being removed, but I have to get proper advice from legal experts in that field, and they're still outstanding. However, I'm going to exhaust all the legal means at my disposal, try to overturn this miscarriage of justice, and it's not just a matter of keeping a clean record and a good reputation, but it's also my situation, my status here as an immigrant, because I would like to become a US citizen, and with that kind of a conviction, this is a major impediment which may actually foil that plan. Needless to say, all this is going to cost money, and I hate to say that, but that's the way life is. And if you in any way feel able to help me with my financial obligations that will come up, I would very much appreciate it. I have set up a GoFundMe page for that purpose. That's the Germar Rudolf Legal Defense Fund. You find a link down below next to the link to my book, which you can also purchase and see that as a way of supporting me. That book is also available as a signed copy, signed by me, which costs a little more, so that's an extra way of supporting me a little bit more, of getting the book, getting the details of the case, and signed by me. And any other links that are of interest you can also find down below. So, before I let you all go, there's one interesting thing, because the magistrate judge who actually made sure that the case goes to court back in August 2019 has been in the media lately.
A week before my trial commenced, the local media here reported that the magistrate judge who sent my case to court in August 2019 was exposed as a little sexual pervert. The link to the article is listed below. Go figure.